Washington, D.C., March 13, 1962. A document lands on the desk of Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara. It has been drafted by the highest military authority in the United States, signed by the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, approved in writing by every branch of the U.S. Armed Forces. Its title: Justification for U.S. Military Intervention in Cuba. Its contents: a detailed plan to commit acts of terrorism against American citizens on American soil and blame another country. This is not a theory. This is a declassified government document. It is stored at the National Archives. Anyone can read it. To understand what was proposed and how close it came to approval, we need to go back to 1961. Fidel Castro has taken power in Cuba. The Soviet Union is expanding its influence 90 miles from American shores. Washington is in a state of controlled panic. The CIA attempts to remove Castro through a paramilitary invasion at the Bay of Pigs. It fails completely. Over 1,400 Cuban exiles are captured. Kennedy takes public responsibility. Privately, he is furious at the military and intelligence establishment that assured him the plan would succeed. The Joint Chiefs of Staff draw a different conclusion. In their assessment, the problem was not the plan. The problem was the lack of a pretext. The American public had not been sufficiently prepared to support military action against Cuba. They set out to fix that. In March 1962, General Lyman Lemnitzer, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, submits the document that would become known as Operation Northwoods. What it proposes is straightforward. Stage a series of attacks. Blame Cuba. Use the resulting public outrage to justify invasion. The specific proposals are worth reading slowly. Blow up a U.S. ship in Guantanamo Bay. Publish casualty lists in American newspapers. The document uses the phrase, and this is verbatim from the declassified text, casualty lists in U.S. newspapers would cause a helpful wave of national indignation. Develop a communist Cuban terror campaign in Miami and Washington. Real bombings. Real casualties, real funerals. Stage the hijacking of American civilian aircraft. Create a fabricated shoot-down of a U.S. Air Force plane over Cuba. Manufacture evidence. Plant wreckage. File international protests over an incident that never happened. Consider, if needed, the assassination of Cuban immigrants on American soil, attributed to Cuban agents. And this: use remote control technology to repaint a civilian airliner as a U.S. Air Force plane. Have it disappear. Announce it was shot down by Cuba. Every one of these proposals was put in writing by the highest military command structure of the United States in 1962. The document was signed, approved, delivered to the Secretary of Defense. Robert McNamara did not implement it. President Kennedy rejected it, directly and completely. Shortly after, he removed General Lemnitzer as chairman of the Joint Chiefs. Lemnitzer was transferred to Europe as Supreme Allied Commander of NATO. The U.S. military's senior leadership perceived Kennedy as weak on Cuba. A rift developed, documented in records from the Cuban Missile Crisis and subsequent months. On November 22, 1963, Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas, Texas. The Warren Commission concluded Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. The Northwoods document remained classified for 35 years. It was declassified in November 1997 by the John F. Kennedy Assassination Records Review Board, a federal agency created specifically to release government records related to Kennedy's death. A total of 1,521 pages of military documents were released simultaneously. The public did not learn of Operation Northwoods until 2001, when journalist James Bamford published his investigation into the National Security Agency. Here is what the document establishes as fact. In 1962, every serving chief of the United States Armed Forces signed a plan to kill American civilians, destroy American property, and fabricate international incidents in order to manufacture consent for a war. The plan was stopped by one man, a civilian, the president. 11 months later, that president was dead. No one was court-martialed. No one was charged. Lemnitzer was given one of the most prestigious commands in NATO. The document sat in a classified archive for 35 years. Operation Northwoods was never implemented. That is a fact. What the document proves is something more fundamental, that the institutional will to carry it out existed, was formalized, was signed, and was submitted through official military channels as a serious policy proposal. It was not a rogue idea. It was not a draft from a single disgruntled officer. It represented the consensus of the entire Joint Chiefs of Staff. The only thing that stopped it was a president who said no. No one was punished for proposing it. The full document is available at the National Archives in College Park, Maryland. Draw your own conclusions.